Hey Internet people, my name is Jason Dykstra, and today I want to talk to you about your conflict best before date. In other words, how do you know when you're going from a simple disagreement into a conflict? What's that line look like? And how do we get there, and how can we extend that best before date? You already know what a best before date is, right? Think of it this way. How many times have you reached into your fridge to grab the lunch meat and then try and remember, when did I buy this? Is this even good anymore? We might suspiciously check the package for a best before date, look it over to make sure that there are no spots. Perhaps we'll even smell it to make sure some funky odor isn't coming from it. If we're really adventurous, we might even take a little bite off it just to see if it tastes all right. If we think it's okay, we'll probably slap it on that delicious sandwich that you're making and voila, it's sandwich time. Otherwise, if we don't trust it, we'll probably just toss it in the trash. Food that has a shelf life of under 90 days must have a best before date. But what about conflict? Does it have a best before date? Let's work through an example together to explore this question. Let's pretend that you and I are asked to make a new pen. And so we sit down, we get to work. We have wide-ranging conversations about the pen, and we start asking questions like, what color should it be? Or what about the smudgeability for our left-handed friends? You know, the essential things. Here's the thing, as long as our eyes stay on that pen we are designing, we can have heated debates and passionate conversations. This pen needs to have lefty functionality. Imagine a world where lefties could write without smudging over the entire paper and themselves. Eventually though, that pen may slip from our sight. It starts to fade from our view, and what are we left with? The person sitting across the table from us. As that pen starts to fade, some of our comments get lobbed over that pen and land on the other person. The more that pen fades, the more that other person is in full view. So now when we're hearing these heated comments about lefty functionality, we start taking them as personal comments, and so we react. What do you mean? Who cares about the lefties? Most people are right-handed anyways. When it becomes personal and that pen is no longer in sight, we hear that comment and start to respond, most people are right-handed? Oh, so you're only thinking about yourself, aren't you? Everyone should care about our left-handed friends. They are the salt of the earth. You see, before every comment that was spoken, it was absorbed by the pen. It took all the heat and passion from each statement, filtered it through itself so that the other person could only hear comments about that pen. Eventually though, when that pen started to fade from our view, those comments became direct hits for us to absorb. That's when our discussion turns from talking about our pen to talking about each other. That's when our defense walls start to rise and we start putting on that armor for battle, sometimes unconsciously. It's no longer about the pen, it's personal. So what's the best before date in this? Likely the moment that pen starts to fade from our view. So the next question we should ask ourselves is, how do we keep that pen between us? Well, here's a couple of suggestions. The first is deal with your backstories. And this is easier said than done, but we all have backstories. Those things that exist below the surface from our past that come to the surface when comments summon them. The more we can tend to those backstories, the less they will come to the surface, not because they don't exist anymore, but rather they are no longer something that triggers us. Secondly, refocus. When we feel that anxiety coming to the surface and our temperature starts rising, that pen is disappearing quickly. So what can we do to refocus and bring that pen back into our viewpoint? One strategy is to take a breath. In through the nose, hold for a moment, and let the breath just escape from your mouth. Lastly, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable is typically not so much fun. But if we have some experience with it, that's where much of the learning is. So what does it look like being comfortably uncomfortable? It's taking small steps towards the edge of our comfort zone regularly so that we can get comfortable with what that feels like. The more we practice this, the more we start to notice when we're on the edge of our comfort zone, and we can start developing strategies to make us more comfortable out there on the fringe. Well, that's it for me, folks. I would love to hear what other things you can do to keep that pen in focus during these conversations. So if you have some ideas, make sure you leave it down in the comments below. And while you're on the way down there, make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Until next time, folks.